Hello students, how are you? I am Dr. Pallavi Gupta. As you know, I am teaching you election law. Today I am going to teach you the grounds of challenging the election of a candidate. Means on which ground the election can be challenged. For this I will discuss section 100 of Representation of People Act. What are the grounds? Is there any additional ground to challenge the election? That we will discuss. Introduction. The grounds on which an election may be challenged by means of an election petition governed by the provision of section 100 of the Representation of People Act 1951. This is very clear. Section 100. Under this section, the High Court is empowered to declare the election of a returned candidate void on any of the grounds which are specified in section 100. Therefore, an election petition can be filed on every ground on which the High Court can declare the election of the returned candidate as void. This section states, means the section 100, what it says. So it is very clear, the grounds to challenge the election is mentioned under section 100, and High Court is empowered to declare election of returned candidate void on the ground which are mentioned under section 100. Section 100 says that subject to the provision of subsection 2, the High Court is of the opinion, means section 100 says if the High Court is of the opinion that on the date of the election a returned candidate was not qualified or was qualified to be chosen to fill the seat under the Constitution or this Act or the Government of the Union Territories Act 1963, if any. So this is the first ground on which the election of a written candidate can be declared void if the candidate was not qualified or was disqualified. Yes, this is section 100 subclause 1. Subclause B says that any corrupt practices has been committed by a written candidate or his election agent or by any other person with the consent of a written candidate or his election agent, meaning by the corrupt practices has been committed. And subclause C, that any nomination has been improperly rejected. The first point is related to the qualification or disqualification. Second point is related to the corrupt practices. And third point is related to the nomination. If it has been improperly rejected. And subclause D is saying that the result of the election insofar it concerned a written candidate has been materially affected. Means the result of the election has been materially affected by the improper acceptance of any nomination or by any corrupt practices committed in the interest of the written candidate by an agent other than his election agent, or third, by the improper rejection, refusal or rejection of any vote or the reception of any vote which is void, or fourth, by any non-compliance with the provision of the Constitution or of this Act or of any rules or order made under this Act, meaning thereby the result of the election of a written candidate has been materially affected by the improper acceptance of nomination, corrupt practices committed in the interest of the written candidate, improper rejection of any vote has been done, or why there is a non-compliance of the provision of the law. The High Court shall declare the election of the returned candidate to be void on this ground. Subclause 2 of Section 100 of RP Act. It says that if, in the opinion of High Court, a returned candidate has been guilty by an agent, a returned candidate has been guilty by an agent other than his election agent. Agent is not a election agent. Meaning thereby a returned candidate has been guilty of any corrupt practices by an agent. But the High Court is satisfied that no such corrupt practices was committed at the election by the candidate or his election agent, and every such corrupt practices was committed contrary to the orders and without the consent of the candidate or his election agent. Second, the candidate and his election agent took all reasonable means for preventing the commission of corrupt practices at the election, and that in all other aspects the election was free from any corrupt practices on the part of the candidate or any of his election. Then the High Court may decide that the election of the returned candidate is not void. So, meaning thereby subclause 1 is talking about the grounds on which the election of a returned candidate can be declared void, and subclause 2 says that if the High Court is satisfied that the corrupt practices has not been committed by the returned candidate, and he has taken all reasonable effort not to avoid corrupt practices, and the election is free from that, then it will not be declared void. So here it is very clear that when an election petitioner has claimed a further declaration in terms of section 84 that in the addition to the election of the returned candidate being declared void, the petitioner or some other candidate may be declared duly elected in place of the returned candidate, the High Court can give such relief. It is of the opinion that, number 1, that in fact the petitioner or such other candidate received a majority of the ballot votes polled at the election, or number 2, that for the votes obtained by the returned candidate by corrupt practices, the petitioner or such other candidate would have obtained a majority of the ballot votes. That is under section 101. So in the case of the Supreme Court held in the case of Kisan Shankar Kathor versus Arun Dattaswamy, the Kisan Shankar Kathor versus Arun Dattaray Swamy in 2014, the Supreme Court held that the election of the returned candidate can also be called in a question on the ground that the candidate suppressed some material information, suppressed some material information, or made his declaration in his affidavit filed by him, along with his he made false declaration in his affidavit filed by him along with his nomination paper, and his nomination was thus improperly accepted. The Supreme Court observed that the citizen have a fundamental right under Article 19, Subclause 1, Subclause A of the Constitution to know about the candidate contesting the election. This is the primary reason that cast a obligation on the candidate to furnish information regarding the criminal antecedent about the qualification and assets held by the candidate, his spouse, and dependent children. When the information given by a candidate in the affidavit filed along with the nomination paper is objected to questioning the correctness of the information, alleging that there is non-disclosure of certain important information, it may not possible for returning officer at the time of scrutiny of the nomination to conduct a detailed examination, and a summary inquiry may not suffice at that time. It could not be possible for the returning officer to reject the nomination for want of the verification about the allegation made. However, a detailed inquiry for verification can be done in such case later in an election petition, and one can state that the question of election of selection of nomination paper in such a case was only deferred to a later date. When the court gives such a finding which would have resulted in rejection of the nomination, to effect would be the same. Its effect would be the same, namely such as candidate was not entitled to contest and the election is void. So meaning thereby says that if anything which is material is suppressed by the candidate and it comes to the notice of the returning officer, and returning office, if the returning officer is not to make a proper inquiry and could not reject the nomination paper, it can be challenged in a election petition. So further we can say in the case of Krishnamurthy versus Shivakumar in 2015, Supreme Court has held that the suppression of the material information or making a false declaration in the affidavit filed by the returned candidate along with his nomination paper can also be a ground for challenging his election, that he committed the corrupt practices of undue influence. So, as you know, in this case, what happened? The returned candidate in his affidavit filed along with his nomination paper had suppressed the details of criminal cases pending trial against him, and of which the court has taken cognizance, and it was contended that for filing a false affidavit, his nomination paper ought to have been rejected by the returning officer, and Supreme Court held that suppression of the above information in the affidavit, the candidate amounted to corrupt practices of undue influence. So, this is the additional ground to challenge the election of a written candidate. In fact, it is not directly mentioned in section 100. And then the distinction between the clause 1 or to C. In fact, this is A to C. It should be A to C, and between D. Meaning there, what is the difference between section 100 subclause 1 A to C and D. So here it is says that the provision of section 101 subclause A to C will show that if an election is challenged on any of the ground mentioned under this, the High Court shall declare the election of the written candidate void on or mere proof and establishment of any of those grounds. The petitioner has nothing to prove further as to the effect of any of those things on the result of the election, as the law presumes that any of those grounds are sufficient by themselves for the whole election to be declared void. For example, if it is proved in the trial of the election petition that the nomination paper of a candidate was improperly rejected within the meaning of section 100 subclause 1 subclause C, the election of the written candidate will be declared void. Nothing has to be additional has to be proof. In such cases, no further question is required to be gone into the court, and it has no other option but to set aside the election of the candidate. But if an election petition is filed in which the ground is mentioned in section 100 subclause 1 subclause D, in the basis of the challenging the election is mentioned in section 100 subclause 1 subclause D. The petitioner has not only to prove and establish the facts alleged, but has also to prove further that those facts has materially affected the result of the election insofar as the written candidate is concerned. It has been held by the Supreme Court that where an election is challenged in subclause D of section 100 subclause 1, it must be specifically averted and pleaded in the petition that the election of the written candidate has been materially affected apart from proving that fact in the trial of the petition. In absence of such pleading in the petition cannot be permitted to adduce evidence to the effect that the election of the written candidate was materially affected. So, this is the difference between these sections. So, as such additional ground here it was says that during the conduct of the election there are several things which are sometime brought in the notice of the electoral authorities. Some issues are raised before the electoral authority. What happen if those issues are not raised before the electoral authority and directly raised before the High Court? What happened? So yeah, that I will discuss. An election petition is an original proceedings, means High Court is having a original jurisdiction. It is not a proceeding in the nature of an appeal against the order of election commission, returning officer or any other election authority. Therefore, any matter connected with the conduct of the election which falls under any of the ground mentioned above for questioning an election can be raised in the election petition, irrespective of whether it was raised or hesitated earlier or not before the concerned electoral authority. In the trial of the election petition, it is open to both the parties to put forward all grounds in support of or in negation of a claim in the petition. For example, while questioning the eligibility of a candidate to contest election on the ground of his disqualification under section 100 subclause 1 subclause A, it is not necessary that an objection on that ground should have been raised before the returning officer at the time of scrutiny of nomination paper. Such objection can be raised in the election petition itself. But in the case of J.H. Patel and Suban Khan, the respondent was not allowed by the Supreme Court to raise a plea in support of his allegation that his nomination paper was improperly rejected by the returning officer. In this particular, what happened, the nomination of the petitioner was rejected on the ground that he had not made and subscribed the requisite oath or affirmation within the time permissible. At the time of scrutiny of the nomination, he did not disclose to the returning officer that he was also contesting from another constituency and he had taken the oath in that constituency in time and that therefore his nomination should not be rejected. When he took this plea before the High Court held his nomination to have been improperly rejected by the returning officer and declared the election of the returned candidate void. In appeal, the Supreme Court observed that the petitioner before the High Court had deliberately not disclosed to the returning officer a fact which was within his personal knowledge and whereby he in, he engineered the rejection of his nomination. The Supreme Court held that in these circumstances the said petitioner had not come to the court with the clean hands and was not entitled to seek indulgence of the court and should not be allowed to raise a new point in the election petition. The Supreme Court reversed the decision of the High Court, restored the election of the returned candidate valid. So this is all about the election, the content of election petition. So it's not the content of election petition, the grounds to challenge the election. In fact, the first point is related to that qualified or not qualified at the time of filing the election petition or disqualified, and second point is to corrupt practices, and third point is to materially affected, the result of the election is materially affected, and on this ground it can be the election of the return candidate be declared void, and the next point is that that is the point, mm, uh, the point, the nomination has been properly rejected. So these are the 4 points basically on which the election of a candidate, return candidate, is challenged. So, and the additional point is that if the candidate has suppressed material things and filed the false affidavit, that may also become a ground to challenge the election of a candidate. So this is all about the grounds to challenge the election petition. So now next topic will be the trial of the election petition. Thank you for watching me and listening me. Bye bye.